What you've heard so far, super inspiring. The world is changing and we're changing with it. Every Student Sent, with their new Every Student Sent app, has captured a new segment of the workforce for discipleship within the faith and work movement. Right now, the pipeline for the marketplace and workplace-focused ministries has primarily focused on students after they've gotten into the workforce. And for the most part, it's not really until after they become a leader within their organization. There are, however, a few organizations scattered across the country focused on young professionals. But for the most part, workplace believers in the trades, blue collar, and entry level jobs have not been the focus of discipleship within most faith and work organizations. Every Student Sent, with their Every Student Sent app, are providing a tool that will not only equip students to understand the significance of their workplace while they are a student, but with this pipeline, we're going to be able to connect those students, believers from high school all the way through their college years, to business owners and leaders in cities across the country who will be able to invest their lives in them through mentoring and discipleship. Leading in the future to that will lead in the future to internships, apprenticeships, and potentially future jobs. Every Student Sent is focused on making sure that these young students are connected to organizations that will accelerate their discipleship in their college years. It's so important that when we connect them to workplace believers who are already living out their faith in the workplace, who already understand that their work matters to God, that's what changes lives. These practitioners can invest their lives in the up and coming generations so that, unlike most of us, there's no delay in them living out their faith at work. The pipeline of students will accelerate the growth of faith and work organizations across the country and will enable the faith and work movement to start serving workplace believers from their high school years all the way into their retirement years. It doesn't mean that there's not still room for improvement to get these kids started on understanding the theology of work from their daycare years on, but it's a huge move in a forward direction. In capturing more of those workplace believers before they start to embrace the sacred secular divide, they can start day one in their jobs living out their faith vibrantly for the benefit of their workplace neighbors. We all know the power that understanding the theology of work has made on our own lives. This clear biblical understanding that our work matters to God no matter what our work is has transformed each one of us from the inside out. Imagine a generation of college-age students, whether on track for a white-collar or blue-collar job. Imagine them understanding that the career path, the work path that they're on, is simultaneous with the assignment of their ministry place on their God-given workplace mission field. That kind of understanding will impact our nation for good and our nation for God. Now, next up, Ford Taylor with Transformational Leadership to talk about marketplace and city transformation. Ford Taylor?
Yeah, thank you, Jim. I was asked to share a little story. And when I met John and he shared about this app, it took me back to a time that when I was in high school, I was the discipleship leader at our church. I was president of our student body, and I presented a Bible and prayed at midfield before every football game. And then I went to college, and about a year and a half into it, I slowly drifted away. And when I was a senior, I met what became my wife, who was a freshman, who came from a different church, who didn't really explain about having Jesus in your life. And I took her home with me in Paris, Texas. And as we were driving back to College Station, she looked at me and she had a conviction on her heart that she wanted to accept Jesus. And I didn't feel qualified. And we literally had to turn around and drive back to my pastor. Instead of me leading what was going to be my wife to Jesus, I had already walked so far away, I didn't think I could. So when John shared this app, I thought, wow, what if something like this had been around back then? And I continued to drift away. And then my daughter was 9 years old, our oldest daughter. She came home from church and said, Dad, I want to accept Jesus. I said the same thing. We better go back to church. And no, Daddy, I want to do it with you here at home. But he used that and eventually got me back in the fold. And after a great business career and a lot of moral failure, I confessed it to my wife and she forgave me, and we have a great marriage now, but God uses it all. And now using that for us to be able to do city impact initiatives, we're working with lots of different cities, lots of different marketplace movements and ministries, getting them to work together. And when we go into cities, we go way beyond theory. We give them practical, implementable tools of how to transform their cities. And what a great practical, implementable tool to be able to take students from junior high to high school, off to college, and back to a city, and to companies that are already being trained how to do discipleship, and to be able to continue that forward. So all of you that are doing this, and that you get the big picture of unity and how we were made to complete one another, not compete. And I'll say one thing, but thank you for doing this. Years ago, Lord showed me something in a prayer time, and I texted it to myself in 2003. that I would get to live to see the day that leaders across our country and world, Christian leaders, would learn to humble themselves before God and submit to one another. And when they found each other, we would see an accelerated convergence of synchronized destiny. And when I look at this screen and I see all the movements all starting to work together, like Joel being here with 12 of his people, and in Atlanta last week and 3 weeks ago with many marketplace leaders coming together, I believe we're seeing accelerated convergence, and these tools are awesome. Thank you so much for developing them.
Thank you, Ford Taylor. Appreciate it.